Welcome, everybody. It is so great to have you here. I'm Marilyn Crone. I'm Vice President for Enrollment Management at Seattle University, and what a privilege it is to welcome you to this incredible opportunity to announce formally, or to celebrate formally, the fact that our university has been given a great gift, and it's an ongoing gift, and that is a gift of the Alfie Scholars Program for transfer students coming to Seattle University. And several of you are here from the community colleges, and I'm sure the president will mention that a little later, and what great partners you've been to us. What you may not know is that among the Jesuit universities, there's 28 in the U.S., and we're the second largest enroller of transfer students in the U.S. Only outdone, if you would, by Loyola Chicago, okay? But second only to them. And so that tells you how much we value transfer students. We think they're integral to Seattle University. And so we're excited, we're grateful. Paula, I know the president will say more about this later, but how grateful we are to you, your father, your family, and others in your life, and for this important decision. So we can't tell you enough how excited we are.
As you heard from Marilyn, that's a special dimension of Seattle University, is our students who come to us as transfer students, and many of them come from the community colleges of this region, and they make all the difference in the kind of students that we have. So my gratitude, let me tell you a little bit of experience as president. Paula and I, as she can tell you, and she may tell you, I hope she doesn't tell you everything, have worked together for years and years and years, both in the Academic Resource Center in the law school. And I remember way back when Paula was the person who sponsored a special event for all of our students who were mentors for others and wanted them to get some special kind of recognition. She came to me and she outlined to me what she hoped might be the Alfie Scholars at Seattle University for transfer students. That would provide a cohort for them, so that they would not just be individual students who would be here, but they would be surrounded by other students who would be together, and they would be support of one another, who would receive very, very special and significant financial help in addition to what Seattle University would provide for them, that they would have some special courses for themselves and some guidance and advisors, and that they would focus particularly on graduating and being leaders for civility in our society. And when you hear that from a person, you say there's the opportunity for that kind of a program for students, it just warms your heart, because there's nothing that could be more in accord with what our mission is and our purpose is. And I've always had this soft spot in my heart for our transfer students and wanting them to have the full Seattle University experience, because they're so very, very important to us. So Paula is the person who came, and it's been a whole team of people throughout the university, whether from enrollment services or for the provost's office or everybody, legal dimensions of the university, financial aid and so forth, that have worked out what the Alfie Scholars Program can be, that we can launch it today and announce it. And we're really eager to have those applications so that in the fall of this year we can have our first cohort of Alfie Scholars at Seattle University. So this is an historic kind of day. You don't get a day like this very often in a university, where there's the announcement of a new program for a very special group of students with a special purpose, and particularly with that goal around education for civility. And that's a unique feature of what this program will be for the Alfie Scholars. We're looking forward to having 15 students in the fall and another 15 the following fall, so we'll have 30 Alfie Scholars at Seattle University.
For me, this is a wonderful culmination of many moments in my career that I can say have been exciting, and we've manifested and created a vision. But having this all come together in this way is pretty powerful. To talk about Alfie Scholars, first we need to talk about two brothers, Alfred and Robert Lustbader, who grew up in Brooklyn, New York in the Depression era. And they were raised by a very, very compassionate and strong mother who instilled in them an ethic of do to others as you wish to be treated, right? Treat the golden rule that we see in so many different religions, and it's at the base of so many different ways how you be in the world. But she not only instilled that in them, to treat people well, but she instilled in them this idea that you need to be of service. You need to help those who are less fortunate. And so anything you do in your life, you have to be having an eye towards how can you bring somebody else along or open the door. And that's how these two men lived their lives. When, Alfred's my father, when my Uncle Robert passed away in 2007, my father was very distraught, and he said what saddened him the most, yes, he was going to miss his brother desperately, but he said, there goes one of the last of the truly civil people, you know, from our generation, and our generation is slowly going. And so to honor his legacy, and my uncle was the kind of man who could connect to and relate and respect and value people from all walks of life. So to honor him, he said, let's make a foundation called Robert's Fund and do something to foster civility. So we explored around some different ideas and ended up deciding to focus on the legal profession, not just because the lawyers are the most uncivil, because I'm not saying that, but the legal profession because they are the most, if you think about, you have to, when you have a big idea, Steve, I think you'll back me up on this, you've got to focus or you're going to go bouncing off too many walls. And if you really want to have an impact and affect change, you've got to have a focus. And so we were mucking around trying to find some programs we could collaborate with and stuff. And finally it was, I could have had a V8 moment. I'm a law professor. We have access to the legal profession. Let's start there. But let's start with the legal profession because if you think of any other profession that has the potential to transform society, it's lawyers. It's lawyers because lawyers deal with people in their most vulnerable time. When they're either going to ramp up a conflict or they're going to transform the conflict into something that's healing and positive and constructive. And so we started collaborating with Seattle University School of Law. Thank you, Annette Clark. And we've been putting on seminars, continuing legal education seminars, since 2011. We offer 2 in Seattle a year, and we offer 1 in Tuscany. Now I have to tell you another story. And it's about the Academic Resource Center at Seattle University School of Law. And this was a program that was developed by Dave Berner, professor at the time at the University of Oregon, 1987, and myself to increase diversity in the legal profession. And we found, now it's in its 30th year, that working with a population of diverse students to provide them access and an opportunity to become lawyers where they wouldn't have had that opportunity otherwise has been transformed the law school and has really helped to change the face and the heart of the legal profession. So we would take 10% of the entering class every year, and so now we're probably talking about 1,200 alums. And we did a cohort model, and we brought them in the summer, and we developed leadership skills. We helped them develop a sense of purpose that was beyond them. They were charged with this idea that they were here to be a voice for the underrepresented. Well, I just have to say that the people who came through this program became disproportionately leaders in the student government and the law school, overrepresented in as alums in the fields that are serving their communities and in the bar. And they are succeeding and excelling in ways that went way beyond what we could have imagined at the time that we opened the doors. And so we found the power of when you provide opportunity to people and provide a little bit of support and encouragement and a mission, it develops this grit. It develops, and there's studies about developing grit and persistence that says it's no longer just I'm going to get through this and survive. It's I have a reason to be here. I have people, I have work to do. We used to always say to our students, your clients are waiting for you. And that was like, oh, that's right, you know. And so they could go forward. So I'm beginning phased retirement 5 years ago, and I'm going to stop teaching at the law school. I'm going to stop teaching in this very powerful program that was changed my life. So then, in the news, we start seeing how the cost of higher education is starting to close opportunities for people from lower socioeconomic backgrounds. Over 40% of people who go, people of color start at community colleges before they go to four-year schools. And we're starting to see that the opportunities are collapsing on a segment of population that we need to be represented in the university and beyond and in the professions. And so my father came to Michael D. and I and said, I think we should do another foundation. Okay, sure. What do you want to do? Well, I want to create Alfie's Fund, a brother foundation, the one for his brother. And I want it to be about providing support where a little help can change a life. Well, that's really sweet. That's really nice. Where do you want to focus it? Well, he's very concerned about seeing how the educational opportunities are collapsing for people who are deserving and who should have an opportunity. On the heels of seeing what our work at the law school and the Academic Resource Center has done, he wants us to do something similar to that. So, how fortunate to come to people at this institution. I gather Genevieve and Carol and say, let's put on a party. What do we do? And we immediately start. I remember the conversation, and I at that time just invite them to help me, to help brainstorm. Later, I'll tell you, halfway through this process, halfway through the years, we're doing all these little focus groups. Genevieve and I look at each other, we say, Carol's got to be the program director of this program. No question about it, because she's so amazing. But so we started to think about what do we do and how do we focus this in some way. And very quickly we landed on the transfer student. Why? Why transfer students? Why should that be the focus of this modest initiative? Right? 15 students, it's not a tipping point yet, right? But 15 students a year. Why would we focus on transfer students? Well, for one, we want to zero in on a population that already is underrepresented and underserved. And I just read a statistic that was very sad to me. I started at community college. I went to high school in the early 70s in the Bay Area in San Francisco. I was writing 3-page sentences without any punctuation and getting A's. So I had to start at community college if I was ever going to survive in a university setting, right? I had a lot of other good things in my education, but not that. So the statistic I read that was very, very disheartening to me is that 81% of students who enter community college have the goal and desire to get a bachelor's degree. Within 6 years, only 14% of those do. Only 14% of those actually get that degree. And there's a number of reasons why. So to us, it was kind of a no-brainer. It's already an underserved population. And we're looking for diverse candidates because we want to increase diversity in the university and in the professions. So that's good. So that's the legacy of the ARC program. I've been telling people it's kind of like junior ARCs, right? Junior ARCies coming up, okay? But what weds the two is the legacy of Robert, is the whole civility thing. Because we know if we're going to do something really powerful, we could have just given money. We could have just said, and we had a few meetings where it was like, well, why don't you just give us money? And why do we need a program? And it was like, well, we could have. We could have just said, we're going to give you scholarships, go fly. But our experience with the ARC students showed us if we really invested and had a program, and we also saw from fostering scholars, that we needed to develop something that was bigger than just giving them money, but actually standing behind them, giving them the grit, giving them the mission, a purpose that's bigger than them. And that purpose would be civility, would be fostering civility in their chosen fields. How awesome could that be? Great. Hold that thought. So we've got this idea now. We want to make a program that combines the financial aid and access to people who wouldn't otherwise, which in itself is an act of civility, inclusion, helping people who are less fortunate or who don't have those opportunities, and this emphasis on civility. So what's really wonderful is this university has been my home from the time we were bought. We were sold by University of Puget Sound. I don't know if y'all know that story. I'll tell you later after a glass of wine. But so, this has been my home for, since when did we get sold?
94.
94. So, for a long time. So I go to Steve, what do you think? He says, go for it. So Carol and Jen start creating these focus groups, and I feel like Tom Sawyer. Do you guys remember the story with the whitewashing of the fence? I'm like, hey, look, I got a fun thing here. You want to paint? You want to paint? And so we connected with, and the people are listed on the program who all came into we had coffees, we had lunches, we had focus groups. Carol Schneider was just such a champion from the first coffee, right? It was just amazing, thank you. I'm going to shout out a few names that just without them, they really helped us where the rubber met the road. Jeff, Kevin, you guys just were right there when I'm like, hey, I got an idea, what do you think, was wonderful. And so we were surrounded by a fabulous moment where every time we came to somebody and said, hey, we've got an idea, what do you think? We were met with, great idea, here's some thoughts, what can I do to help make it happen? I Skyped with Jeff from Italy, and we have this great conversation. I say, well, I'm kind of hoping maybe you join the team. And he goes, oh, I just assumed I already was on it. And thank God, right? So this is how we felt we were received by this university. And it shows, again, what a concentration of people who coalesce around a focused purpose can achieve in very short order.
It was a little more than a year ago that Paula came to me and asked if I would brainstorm with her on a new family foundation. Us going way back, I said, sure, no problem. And it had just been a few weeks before that our entire campus community had come together and talked about what the outlook was for us. And part of that conversation was around transfer students. And from that very small seed, we are now here celebrating the start of the Alfie Scholars Program. I have had the privilege over the past year to get to know so many of you in this room, working so hard and diligently to change the outcomes for our transfer students and to create amazing opportunities. We, as the Alfie Scholars Program, are now very proud to be a part of that community that is helping to change the face of this university and provide access and opportunity for students around the state and the globe. So we look forward to welcoming our first 15 scholars this fall. Thank you all for joining us, and thank you to the family for providing this wonderful opportunity.